Hi, hello, welcome everybody. We are starting now our online dialogue, building a community network learning repository together. We are being live streamed at the YouTube of Redes AC, our partner and co-host here with APC and Rhizomatica. And for those following this event on Zoom, we have interpretation English to Portuguese. So please just set your preferable channel at the bottom of the Zoom app. For the next hour, we will talk about ways to store and share the knowledge coming from community-led initiatives, community networks. We will also present some a platform that we are launching, and also some manuals, a series of manuals. But before we dive into the event and before I share the agenda, we want to ask you all to take a moment to a tribute to our friend Paulo Lima from the Projeto Saúde e Alegria. I think many of you here today know him. We want to express our deep sorrow for his premature passing. He was a dear friend and an ally who had a long story in connecting through information and communications technologies, and he spent the last decade bringing internet connectivity to indigenous, riverine populations, traditional populations in the Brazilian Amazon region. We just knew about his premature pass on Sunday, and in recent years, together with our friends from the Projeto Saúde e Alegria, he led the implementation of the Amazon Community Network School, and also helped to strengthen this movement that we are building that approaches digital inclusion from the bottom up in a way that supports technological and communications autonomy of communities. And as in everything he did during his life, in this field too, he wove many affections and alliances with various diverse peers and friends, including myself and many people here today. And at this moment, we want to send a warm hug to our colleagues from Saúde e Alegria from Brazil, and also invite everyone in this room to do a minute of silence to think about Paulo, and also to do this tribute, sending him and his family and friends love at this hard moment. So we'll take this minute to do this tribute to him before we start. Thank you all. I want to welcome Adriane and the other friends from Projeto Saúde e Alegria that can be here. We are sending you a warm hug at this moment. And we will share some words from an interview that Paulo did recently in the end of this event. But we want to dedicate this gathering to him and say that today we'll be carrying Paulo's legacy by discussing things as popular education and ways of exchange knowledge and ways of support communities. So yes, just want to thank you all for having this moment of sending love to him, his family, and his friends, especially our friends from Brazil, from Projeto Saúde e Alegria. So before we start this conversation, I want to share with you a quick overview of the agenda. This is an hour event, so we'll be here dialoguing about ways to keep and share knowledge for the next 55 minutes. I'm Deborah. I'm helping to moderate this event. And we'll have 2 rounds of conversations with friends and colleagues that are doing incredible work on the ground, doing a lot of interesting training and knowledge building projects and initiatives with communities. The first round will be moderated by Daniela Bello, our friend from Redes AC, and she will be talking with Alphonse Odhiambo from Tunapanda, Kenya. And following, we'll have a second round with Bruna Zanoli from Rhizomatica and Nils Brock from Rhizomatica, also leading a conversation with Daiane Araújo from IBE Brazil and Casa dos Meninos, and also with Krishna from BAIF India. And we want to present a few tools that we are sharing today, a platform that we built to be a collective repository of materials for community networks and for training initiatives, and also a series of manuals that were built in a community of practice in a collaboration among people from the Global South. So we'll have a few moments in the end to questions, comments, and for a dialogue with everyone in the room. And then we'll be closing, sharing this small video from Paulo Lima, our friend. And I want to encourage you to also send comments and questions using the Zoom chat, the YouTube chat. We'll keep an eye on this, and we'll have the opportunity to make these questions in voice in the end of the event. So thank you all, and I will pass to Dani, my colleague here, to start the first round and present us the Learning Repository and the amazing initiatives that they have been doing.
Thanks, Deborah, and thanks everyone for being here. I want to start telling you that as part of this community, I just want to say that we are going to miss Paulo a lot. He has been part of this process that we want to share with you today. So yeah, thanks for the people that is here with us from PCA, the team where Paulo was part of. This organization is working with LogNet initiative as a collective effort led by APC and Rhizomatica in partnership with other people and organizations in the Global South, with the purpose of the emergence and growth of community networks. So LogNet have different strategies and tools that have been developed with their partners that is based on training and capacity building as a fundamental element that allows community networks and community members to gain the knowledge and the skills they need for the creation and operation of these community networks. So as part of LogNet, we have been working with 5 organizations around the Global South besides PCA in Brazil. We have working with Tunapanda in Kenya. Actually, Alphonse is here and he will share with us about what they have done in terms of training and capacity building. Also, we have been working with the organization CITAD from Nigeria, Senseleni from South Africa, and Common Room from Indonesia. And these 5 organizations have been working with different micro-organizations in their own country, at least with other 7 micro-organizations, and they have working on developing their own national schools of community networks. And we have working with them with different strategies and tools, and one of these tools is the repository that we are going to present to you today. As it is a website where the people can share training resources that they have created, or also they can consult other materials that can be helpful for them for their projects. So I will show you the repository later, but for now I would like to invite Alphonse from Tunapanda to share with us what they have done in terms of documentation and content creation during the development of the School of Kenya. So Alphonse, please go ahead, and thank you for being here. If you want to share with us, please.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, Alphonse, we can hear you well.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks everyone who have joined. It is a really amazing number. I can see we are around 62. This is something which is really encouraging. My name is Alphonse Odhiambo. I work with Tunapananet as the lead network engineer, and we've been working with LockNet for quite long, and we really learned different things. I know because of time, I might not really get into detailed process, but it is more of a discussion, and I'm happy to, have questions if at all there is someone who want to learn from what we are doing. So Tunapanda is located in Kibera, Nairobi, and we started working with LockNet around 2021, and then our activities have been revolving around building sustainable community networks, which took a different approaches based on the needs of the community. So first of all, we began by mapping the community needs through a baseline study that was conducted. By then, we managed to get around 5 community networks that were available by then. And thanks to APC support, it really grew very fast. And at the end of it, we can now talk about 11 community networks in Kenya. And now we've also seen interest of many other community networks really are coming up, and they still need the process. They need to go through the process of capacity building, learning, and exchange. So after the learning the needs of the communities through the baseline research, we came up with different learning methodologies. So one was in-person learning, which is was geared towards understanding the specific needs of communities that comes within the areas where community networks are located, and also to understand what is the motive of these community initiatives. Are they really up to solving the digital problem or a gap in the digital inclusion space? So we actually had 5 community networks taking part in this. And we did a virtual learning, which were grouped according to needs that were identified. So one of the needs was capacity building around network and infrastructure deployment. Another one was on policies and internal governance, and the other one was also on sustainability and business models. And finally, we had a major need on local content creation. So these are the areas that really shaped our school in the first place. We had 4 thematic areas. So as I mentioned, we looked at the policy, things that are around governance, how community networks work internally and externally. And then we looked at local content creation, what really makes the internet infrastructure meaningful for communities, how they really get to be engaged when it comes to consuming content that they really feel has impact on their lives and can change their digital stories. And then we also looked at the network as infrastructure. If some community networks wants to deploy, what are the best practices? What are the things they need to do? What are the designs, technical feasibility studies, all things that are surrounding the technical part of it. And finally, we looked at the business model, because this is an area that we realized that many CNs are kind of still struggling with, to find a more sustainable way of running the community networks in terms of business models, what really works. So all these formed our major thematic areas during the school. In the first school, which happened 2022, toward December, it was around February, and the last one, which happened also towards the end of the year. So the major thing that we actually learned from this community network school was the fact that there is a lot of need in understanding the different contexts and diversities that exist within our community networks. Because one thing that really came out very clear is that, based on the geographical distribution or locations of ECNs, there is a different need that maybe another CN is not facing, or there is a gap that another CN is not facing. So this brought about diversity in the way we approached all this. And for us to approach and address some of these issues, we actively engage on the physical learning exchanges in the community networks. So we could go to a specific CN, take some time, get to understand their working, how the communities are integrated in the process, and then we could, jointly come up with a co-created plan or a method in which the community networks can grow, deploy, and even sustain themselves. So I would say the concept of sharing this knowledge became very relevant even when you are at the end of the second school of community networks, when we realized that there is a need based on the experience that we had in the learning process, the physical learning exchanges, the virtual exchanges, then this informed if these are the major areas that we have, or major areas of need that we have in the community network space, what if we continue building on them in a form, in a way that we keep promoting the digital or the capacity of the community network team, and also just to help in the continuity of learning. So that led to the development of communities of practice internally. And one of the area where we built a community of practice was on network and infrastructure, which we dubbed as building grassroots engineers for community network. And the aim was to make sure that the content, because the learning, the time span was really very small, and perhaps some of the learners or the peers were not really able to grasp content or the informational skills at that first step. So we developed a scenario where we can keep on building on these skills even after the school. And then the good thing that came out that most of the CS that already had some capacity to do this agreed or to cover the process, to offer the support. Like for example, a HeriNet offered to give out the support in building community network grassroots engineers, because already they have that capacity in network infrastructure development and deployment. And then we also had one on sustainability, which we dubbed as a common community network business hub, which was kind of looking at how do we continue building sustainable models for community networks, and how do we keep on understanding the changing patterns in our communities regarding the way we package our services, the way we involve the communities, the way we look into the long-term sustainability of these projects. So that is an area that we have been building and working on. And lastly was on the local content. Local content looked at the diverse areas around how do we produce content, how do we use content that community themselves need, because there was a conversation that most of the content that we access or communities access through these networks are not necessarily, they are not really specific to community needs, for example. So communities thought what if we produce content that really interlinked with our problems and also speak to solutions or things that we really want to solve. For example, if a community is doing agriculture or in farming, how can they curate content that serves their interests or make them solve their problems or extend the knowledge to the broader part of the community? So this really brought a very good platform where we said, okay, fine, then how can we do this? Then community networks that were involved by them came up and said, for us, we are good in audiovisual. Some are good in animation. Some are good in just creating blogs and all that. So we looked at these and came up with a platform in a way that, not really a platform, but a structure that guides on how community networks can engage the communities in curating content that serves their interest in the right language, in the right context. So these are like the learning way, but personally, having been in this process, I really think that the aim of conducting the school was actually even to understand that where are the gaps, especially in the learning, acquisition of knowledge, retention of knowledge, and transfer of knowledge. Because remember, we trained a small number of community networks, and of course, the aim was to promote this and create more awareness in different communities. So the idea is we train, and then these peers are also able to train others to come up. And that is now what we call like acquisition. They have gone through our training. Then when they go back to their CMs, as long as they went through the whole process, we are confident that they already have the position of that skill or knowledge, so they can retain that knowledge. And then by so even distributing the same knowledge within their CMs, then they share with others, train others, something that now we call transfer. So if this process continues, then we were seeing like a more sustainable learning approach, where even if there is employee turnover in one of, let's say in a CN, then don't miss that part of skill going out. For example, if I go through a network and infrastructure training, I should come back to my CN and train other members who are not able to attend. Then we are confident that that skill remains within the organization and can still be transferred to the next generation in that organization. So that has really picked up very well, and we've seen emergence of many other CNs coming up and supporting other micro peers or micro CNs to pick up in terms of network deployment, techno-feasibility study, looking at the content creation, business model creation. So this really, as Tunapanda, we really feel that this has, created an impact, because it is not that we still have to go back to this community peers, to continue pushing or continue training, but we can easily hear maybe feedback that, for example, a HeriNet went to Nyarwa Marifa and did feasibility study support. And in case there is a point where they need our support, then we chip in. So in a point where we create a sustainable communities in a way that not only Tunapanda is able to continue with this one, but even other community networks are capacity built in a way that they can promote the growth and emergence and sustainability of other community networks. So I know the time is really not on our side, but I would say that it is very important for us as community networks to continue building structures and processes that will enable like easy onboarding of other new or upcoming community networks, and also to create a replicable model that other community networks can really use or copy and use without much struggle that maybe other CNs have gone through their formation. I'd want to stop there, Daniela, and maybe if there is a follow-up question, please let me.
Yes, thank you, Alphonse. I think we are going to have time enough at the end of the session to, if anyone has any question for you. But thank you for being here and sharing your experience in Tunapanda. I think you said very interesting things about the content creation and how it has to be contextualized and useful for the communities. And that's why we deliver for you. We have. I'm going to show you the repository. I think you can see it now. We invite you to visit the site. I'm going to show you very quickly what we have here. You can enter and see what is we have been working. What is the purpose of this place? As I told you before, we think this is a collective space to share, to organize, to share with other people the materials you have working with. You can consult all of we have here in the repository. You can use a simple search, or you can use an advanced search to look, for example, for the language. We don't have in this language yet. So you can see the results of the repository. We have already here the manuals, the guides that Bruna and Niels will share with you in a moment. And it's very easy to propose a resource. You can go here, you can click here, and then you need to fill all these boxes. And you can add a link of the resource. It can be a video, it can be an article, it can be a book. Also, you can add a file if you have this resource in a file. And we ask you to fill all the keywords and all the information, because it will be very easy for others to look for the materials. Also, you can check here, we have a video, but we don't have time enough to show you now. But we invite you to use it, to taste it, and also to share with us. If you have any comment, you can contact us here. And this was created as part of this project, but it's not only for this organization that are working on the National Schools of Community Networks. We invite everyone to use it, and also you can find information about communication projects, not only community networks, but also community communication projects. So I will share with you at the chat the link. So I invite you to try to use it, the repository, and we will have your resources here. So thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Alphonse.
Thank you very much, Daniela and Alphonse. This seems to be a great resource for us to keep and share materials. So I want at this moment to invite you all to now or following this meeting, if you have some materials that you have been using, that you have produced, that you think it's super helpful in terms of community networks building and training initiatives, please do submit. This is aimed to be a collective resource. So it will only be good if it is from everybody, if we can build it together, and if the different initiatives and the different ways of learning and build knowledge out there are part of this repository. And I know that we have here people from many different countries today, and they have many different knowledge, many different practice, but also things in common when building community networks. So please share your materials, share your content, share your publications in this repository. And we hope this can be a useful space for us to exchange information and knowledge. And now I want to invite Bruna Zanoli, my friend from Rhizomatica that is here today, to the second part of this conversation. She will be presenting a series of manuals that the LOCNet, the Local Networks Initiative team have been working with allies and friends from the Global South. and we'll have a conversation about this process of building knowledge together in community of practice. Bruna, I'm passing for you. I believe this next round will be in Portuguese, so just a reminder of the interpretation available here in Zoom.
Hello, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As Deborah said, my name is Bruna. I work with the LogNet project, and me and News, we co-coordinate the innovation, technology, and sustainability project. And this past year, we worked with communities of practice. And in those communities of practice, we have developed plenty of materials. News will be speaking more about the communities of practice. I will talk more about this resource we did in the community of practice of sustainability, the one that I was in charge of. So this COP developed 4 projects, and within these 4 projects, we had 3 manuals launched. One is the Piranha Manual, a captive portal. I will be interviewing one of the creators of the manual in a minute, but this was created by the organization SOF, and with 3 community networks from São Paulo state in Brazil. And also we had the participation of Conodo with a manual on time banks and how to do exchanges, social exchanges. And also we had INETI and grassroots folks doing a manual that combines the community currency with community server and local server. I will be speaking in Portuguese to interview Daiane. Dai, se você puder vir aqui. So if you want to change the interpretation to Portuguese. Bom dia, Dai. Obrigada pela presença. A Daiane participa é muito ativa na cena de redes comunitárias brasileira, e ela participou de 2 dos projetos das comunidades de prática de sustentabilidade. Então, teve uma presença bem grande no projeto. E uma coisa interessante desse projeto foi que ele juntou várias redes comunitárias, né, ao redor desse portal captivo do Piranha. E esse portal é interessante porque ele é feito para o LibreMesh, para o LibreRouter, né, que são essas tecnologias que muitas redes comunitárias na América Latina utilizam. E ele é uma parte, né, do LibreMesh que fica um pouco escondido, os desenvolvedores não falam muito dela, só que aqui no Brasil a gente viu muito uso, né, nesse portal captivo do Piranha. Ele é um portal captivo, ele é uma página de abertura, e ela tem sido usada também como uma forma de pagamento, né, para as comunidades. Então eu queria perguntar para a Dai se ela podia explicar um pouquinho para a gente, né, esse processo e esse interesse em usar o Piranha, o portal captivo, e o processo de fazer o manual. E vocês podem olhar o manual no repositório, ele está em português, espanhol e inglês, nos primeiros links do repositório. Obrigada, Dai.
Oi, pessoal, bom dia. Primeiro eu queria agradecer a oportunidade de estar aqui com vocês. Eu lembro muito do portal captivo no sentido de abertura do significado das redes comunitárias. Então, a ideia dele de assim que você se conecta naquele Wi-Fi da rede comunitária, abre um portal, abre uma página apresentando a rede comunitária, apresentando o que está sendo construído, de cara eu sempre achei muito legal, porque explicar, de uma certa forma, rede comunitária para todas as pessoas da comunidade não é uma tarefa fácil. Então, ter um espaço onde a gente consiga apresentar a rede comunitária a partir das pessoas que têm o Wi-Fi ou o link da comunidade, de cara eu sempre achei ele muito legal nesse sentido. E sendo uma iniciativa que considera a prática da comunidade, então você pode apresentar aquilo que você está construindo, seja uma rede comunitária para conteúdos locais, seja uma rede comunitária com internet, existe essa possibilidade a partir do Portal Captivo, e eu acho isso muito legal, porque informa a comunidade sobre que projeto está sendo construído ali. E aí também desperta um pouco de curiosidade para as pessoas quererem saber mais, e isso também ajuda muito no processo da rede. E o processo de construção do manual, é isso, né, Bruna? Você perguntou a segunda pergunta. Eu acho que foi legal porque a gente acabou passando por várias comunidades que estavam construindo redes comunitárias, né? A gente iniciou a escrita, a ideia do portal veio de uma rede comunitária de internet, com internet no Vale do Ribeira, aqui na região de São Paulo, né? No Quilombo, Terra Seca, onde a gente lá, né, produziu, construiu junto com a comunidade a rede, e a partir da construção da rede, da instalação das antenas, existia a possibilidade de utilizar o portal como apresentação da rede, para a criação de voucher, né, que é um dos principais, das principais questões do portal, onde cada membro da rede tem um código para acessar a rede, né? A ideia do portal vem nesse sentido, então tem um código gerado para que as pessoas consigam acessar a rede. E aí, quando a gente instalou a rede, a gente instalou o portal e a partir das dificuldades que a comunidade apresentava, a gente foi construindo esse manual. Então, o manual, ele apresenta como você instala, e aí acho que é legal falar isso, ele apresenta como você, porque o Portal Captivo, ele já vem implementado nas últimas versões do LibreMesh. E aí você tem que ativar ele se a sua comunidade quiser que ele apareça lá na rede. E aí essa apresentação de como utilizar o portal, em primeiro momento a gente percebeu que as pessoas estavam com dúvida, com as dificuldades, e aí através de entrevista ou de conversas com a comunidade, a gente viu que existia algumas coisas que a gente poderia aprimorar na construção ou numa oficina que fosse para implementar o portal. E aí, a partir dessa conversa com a comunidade, a gente conseguiu construir o manual com as dúvidas que estavam sendo apresentadas. O manual, ele começa assim, né? Como que você instala, habilita, na verdade, o portal na sua rede. E aí a gente vai para outras etapas de como cria esse código, né, esse voucher para a comunidade, então como que a gente distribui esse código para a comunidade. E aí ele passa por um processo que eu achei também muito interessante, que é como você desabilita o portal se você quiser, porque eu acho que uma das experiências que pelo menos eu percorri nesse último período de construção de rede comunitária, é que a gente quer entender o processo todo, a gente quer utilizar a ferramenta, mas se a gente também não quiser mais utilizar, a gente também quer saber como que faz. Então, todas as etapas, tanto de implementação, mostrando como utiliza, e como se a comunidade também não quiser mais utilizar, está apresentada. E aí esse manual foi construído também com a ajuda de outra rede comunitária, que é a PSP, Portal Sem Porteiras. Então, a gente também construiu uma relação com eles porque eles já utilizam bastante o portal Captiva, então era uma comunidade que já tinha experiência no uso, e a Casa dos Meninos tentando fazer essa junção junto com a PC e a Rizomática para construir o manual. Então, foi um processo de troca mesmo entre as comunidades de rede comunitária aqui de São Paulo.
Certo, muito obrigada, Day. E a gente ficou muito feliz de saber também que o pessoal da Conodo, né, a Dana, valeu pela presença, eles divulgaram o material com uma rede comunitária na Colômbia, a Rede Polinisa, e a partir do manual, eles que já usavam o LibreMesh passaram a usar o Portal Captivo também. Então, assim, eu queria que você comentasse muito brevemente agora sobre essa coisa de o processo, né, você já falou um pouco disso, como é que é o processo de construir um material realmente inclusivo e diverso, que estimule as pessoas que não são técnicas a se aproximarem, e com essa visão que acaba né, incluindo pessoas não técnicas, incluindo a questão do gênero, a questão de diversas idades, né? Como é o que vocês pensaram na hora de fazer o manual para fazer ele tão inclusivo e tão fácil de chegar, né? Assim.
Eu acho que uma das coisas que é mais interessante é que a gente observou a tendência quando a gente está falando da técnica nas redes comunitárias, é uma tendência onde os homens se aproximam mais daquela, culturalmente, né, se aproximam mais daquela explicação, daquilo que... Então, a gente entendeu que seria importante também apresentar no manual que essas coisas poderiam acontecer e que a gente precisava criar dinâmicas para incluir todas as pessoas da comunidade na hora de apresentar qualquer tipo de conteúdo. E também a separação de gênero que acontece nas redes comunitárias, das mulheres geralmente ficar na parte mais de comunicação, que não é ruim, e os homens na técnica, isso, como a gente está falando de realidade que a gente vive, isso também aparecia. Então, no manual, a gente procurou, observou isso também, que aconteceu na oficina, discutiu isso, retomou isso e sentiu a necessidade de apresentar que essas coisas poderiam acontecer e precisa criar dinâmicas onde as pessoas consigam participar. E o interessante também que na rede comunitária que foi implementada, e aí falando de gênero e de idade, a pessoa que cuida hoje da rede comunitária, que é a guardiã, né, que a gente fala, é uma pessoa mais velha, não está nessa faixa etária de que a gente considera a juventude, é uma mulher, e isso para a gente é muito interessante, porque se a gente cria mecanismos de participação e inclusão das pessoas, elas conseguem utilizar. Claro que isso precisa ser muito bem elaborado e construído para ser permanente, né? Não ser uma coisa só que acontece de vez em quando. Mas eu acho que esse processo foi muito interessante. Não sei se eu consegui responder a pergunta.
Sim, muito obrigada, Day. E eu encerro convidando vocês a conhecerem os manuais. Todos os manuais estão no repositório. E é isso aí. Muito obrigada. Bom dia.
Obrigada, Day. Obrigada, Bruna. I will come back to English now to do our next round of conversation. We already heard from our friends from Kenya and from Brazil, and now we'll go to India. I will invite my colleague Nils to please lead this part.
Hi there. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for the invitation. So I hope you can hear and see me properly. And yes, as Bruna asked before, just some quick words about the communities of practice. So LogNet was experimenting with those heterogeneous spaces, those diverse spaces, bringing together people who want to work on a specific technology or a specific work. And communities of practice are defined by interest, defined by topics. People gather together loosely, but then focusing on finding specific solutions. This can be co-creations, this can be sharing on a specific topic, this can also be upscaling. So, and yeah, some of the results besides specific prototype that we developed were also the manuals that you can find in the repository. And now that you know already the manual of Piranha, let's move to something completely different that you would not expect here, maybe, that is the plantation of bamboo. And I would like to invite Mr. Krishna Singh also to open his camera and his microphone, because he and his team from BIFE in India have been collaborating in the construction of this manual. In fact, they have been the persons leading this whole process. And if you ask yourself what does bamboo has to do with community networks, then this is a good question. But if you imagine community networks needs infrastructure, and normally these infrastructures are iron towers, are lots of materials that are not really natural to the community, but you can find in many places of the formerly known global south, now global majority, materials that grow locally, and bamboo is one of them, and is very interesting if it comes to create, for instance, towers or other structures where you can put up antennas, where you can put up other gear. But what happens if you don't have those bamboo plants in your community yet? Then you could maybe set up a plan to plant bamboo in the first place. And this is what the manual is all about. And so, yeah, to not talk too much, I would rather ask Mr. Krishna Singh from BIFE in India to tell us a bit more. Bamboo is, as I said, a sustainable resource that you can use for arts and crafts and food production, but the manual provides a guidance to grow different species of bamboo for tower construction. And why should the communities do so is a good question first that I halfly answered. But the other one is, can everybody really plant bamboo, Mr. Krishna Singh?
Yeah, welcome everyone, and it's a good evening from India side. I'm a part of an organization named BIFE, Development Research Foundation. We are one of the organization working with almost 8 million people within India across different geographical area in 12 provinces, you say, or the 12 states. And it's a really fortunate that APC and the BIFE could find a local point where we could interact and take this further, because BIFE has been working in this area for the last 15 years with the communities, and these communities were the poorest among the poor, that's we call it tribal, who lives near the forest area. So it's for the art purpose, for construction, for other thing. But when we initiated the activity with them, we realized we don't have, there are so many literature, so many this thing, but still the kind of knowledge we wanted to have it to work with the community, that was a missing. Either you have a lot of technical knowledge about the bamboo, having more than 1,000 varieties, and people don't know which variety is useful, because local community doesn't have a knowledge. So that was a real challenge for us, which variety we should promote it for their ultimate use for the construction or for the tower purpose. Because those areas where we are working, there was a potential for this bamboo being a semi-urban area or semi-rural area. So there was a potential to work with as a livelihood, because we intended to promote bamboo as a livelihood. And where the major potential or which pays back is for the construction of bamboo material. So these communities were not aware of which species has to be done. So fortunately, we came in contact with the APC, and then the process of interaction is really very interesting, because we had a team across tropical, namely from Brazil, Colombia, Nigeria, Indonesia, and all this process, of planting material, plantation, and aftercare. You will not find all this information in one book. Secondly, as I said, there are a lot of technical information which community doesn't need at all. So community need a simple language to understand the process and to take it forward on their own. Because during a project period implementation, what we have seen, you have a leader to guide. But later on, what happened 2, 3, 4 years as the projects end, this should go, the knowledge and process should be passed on to the community. So the manual need was arised based on these facts. One was the need for the community to link it with the livelihood. Second was to make it so simple process that they should be able to understand the process, and also by visuals. So in this manual, we have a graphic photos we have put in, so that any layman can immediately understand what type of the process one has to take it, and in a very simple way. So this manual we have something 30 to 40 pages, and we have taken all those things. Minimum precaution one should take it at the community level, like do's and do not, which you will not find in any books, which comes through the experience only. So the book, because one side is the planting material where technical things come, and second one is the communication to the community that you need these things in a very simple way, and you have to do's and do not, you have to take care. So any community leader or any supervisor working in the community can understand and take it to the local level. So this experience of the journey was wonderful. And what we had initially, we had number of meetings to share our ideas across the continent. And then we developed a questionnaire, which Neil and his team helped in translating into the different language. That was another challenge, because each continent has different way of practicing it. Then we fortunately we have very good people on the board through APC connection in these countries, who helped us in developing the protocol which they follow. And ultimately, all these things were synthesized in this manual. I say, for working with the community, this is the natural flow one should work out, so that different ideas are being put in a systematic way based on the experience and expertise. Because books can give you too much technical thing, but do's and do not, and what are the risk factors, because community people, they are always at the risk when they take the new technology, or you have good intention of taking the technology, but they don't have a capability or the resources to handle it. So by reading this manual, one should be very careful what resources he has to manage before taking it to the community. What are the risk factors he has to understand before making community understand the progress of this thing. And this, though we say the planting material, but this also goes post plantations also. And the organizations which are involved in this thing, who can help in respective countries or the areas of this thing, we have tried to put in the best possible information we had. So one way I should thank APC for a wonderful opportunity of resourcing the information, putting into this one. For us, it was one thing. We are happy to have this manual, which will be used. We will be using it for our field programs, and other organization, we can promote it now in the form of this manual. And I feel across the continent, especially the Africa's, Asian countries, South Asian countries, South American countries, this manual will be particularly for a layman, it will be useful. With all good intention, we look forward, we'll be putting it into the LoCNet and we'll see what are the response. If any queries are there, we are there to address it or help the practitioner to understand from that perspective. And if any new ideas are there, we are ready to put it in the new version. We'll keep on adding. So this become a base manual for our future work. So most probably as the new information or this thing comes, we'll have it. Secondly, we have been able to define selective species, which straightway any man can focus on. Instead of searching different varieties and other things, people can confine it to some 15, 20 varieties, which generally is being across different geographical area, it can be cultivable. So we have worked on the economic sides also based on the production that people can visualize what kind of a production they can have it at the community level. So these are the few words, and I think this journey was quite good, and I wish the collective wisdom which we have put it as all across these continents will be useful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna Singh. And I think due to time, we will have to stop here. But for all of you who are asking themselves now, where is this manual? When can I start to plant my bamboo seeds? My colleague Daniela Bello has just uploaded it and published it on the repository, so you can have a look now. And we will also publish the link here. And besides to the BIVE team, also thanks again to all the collaborators from Brazil, from Mexico, from Colombia, from Nigeria, and from Indonesia, who were the countries that also participated in this bamboo planting manual experience that we will look forward to continue. The communities of practice will also continue. The ones on bamboo, there are others on solar energy. There is also the one on local services where the work of Piranha was brought forward. We will also post the links here, so feel free to join us. So to not only publish manuals, but to also engage in topics that are dear to you. And thank you. And back to my colleague Deborah. Thanks, Krishna.
Thank you very much, Krishna and Niels. And I know that each manual has a Telegram group for contact and conversations. Yeah. So if people here are interested in keep this conversation after this event or get involved, please check the manuals. There are different ones. It's a series, and please feel free to jump in on the Telegram group and continue this conversation with the great people building this manual. We are at the hour. I know that you have been building a rich conversation on the chat of the meeting, but I do want to open just a few minutes to see if there is any question or any comment. But before that, I just want to thank you, everybody that was here today. I think this was an amazing sample of how to create technology and how to create knowledge that is connected, that is linked to the communities, to the ground, to the community members' interests, dreams, needs, hopes. So I think we have been building a very diverse field of knowledge with many people in different roles, and it's really a pleasure and a joy to get to know these materials and others that I have saw that were being shared on the chat. And it's really great to be able to learn from each other. I also want to acknowledge that the repository is supported by the UK government's Digital Access Programme under the Supporting Community-Led Approach to Address the Digital Divide project. So I want to thank you, our supporters for making this initiative possible. and also to thank the Swedish International Development Cooperation Engines for supporting the manual series under the Connecting the Unconnected, Supporting Community Networks and Other Community-Based Connective Initiatives project. I want to check if anyone has any questions, but also to encourage you to continue the conversation in the chat of Zoom, because we are in the end of our session. Okay. So I just want to thank everyone for being here, and sorry for the timing and that we didn't have many time for conversation through voice, but I saw that text message was a way for people to exchange knowledge. I want to invite you all to please update materials that you think others can learn from in this repository. And also feel free to share other initiatives that you have been working in this front. I will share the link of the repository again. I also want to invite you all to subscribe to our monthly newsletter. It's a newsletter about community networks and community-led initiatives that we from the APC and the Rhizomatica team do. And it's a roundup of initiatives happening in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and the Caribbean. I will also share this link with you following. And as you know from the start, we dedicated this session and this conversation today to our friend Paulo Lima, who passed away this Sunday. I want to send again a warm hug to Sabrina and Adriane, her colleagues from the Projeto Saúde e Alegria that are here today. And we want to end the sessions honor his legacy by sharing his words. I want to share a small part of a video that he recently recorded, and with his words, please stay as long as you can. I know we are on the hour, but I will let his words as a way to end the session and to send love to his family and friends. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sharing my screen over here. Just a second. I hope you can see my screen.
Para nosotros es la inserción en el plan latinoamericano y también global de las discusiones sobre lo que antes trabajábamos como inclusión digital, los temas de la comunicación comunitaria con software libre, hacer con que las tecnologías sean apropiadas por las poblaciones ribereñas y de los indígenas de nuestra región. Escuchamos cómo están México, Colombia, Ecuador, muchas partes que trabajan con los mismos roles, con los mismos desafíos. Es como que estar más fuerte, comprendiendo que no estamos aislados en Brasil. Esto es algo tremendamente importante porque la historia de Brasil siempre estuvo un poquito de espaldas para América del Sur. Entonces, que estar en este grupo, tener relaciones de confianza, tener con quien platicar sobre los desafíos, las políticas que hay que implementar, que hay que cambiar para que la gente tenga mejores condiciones de acceder con calidad y con propósito a lo que tenemos en Internet.
I want to invite people from Brazil to say something that we say here as a way to keep the legacy of people like Paulo that we loved and that have a tremendous impact on this field by saying Paulo Lima presente. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a nice day or night.
Paulo Lima presente, deixará saudades.
Agradeço a todos e todas que estiveram aqui compartilhando as suas palavras de afeto. Tem sido difícil para nós. Hoje nós retornamos aqui à nossa sala de trabalho e ainda estamos no processo de entender essa mensagem divina e tentar continuar o trabalho, o legado que seu Paulo Lima deixou. Ele foi um dos pioneiros na inclusão digital na Amazônia, lutou e deixa um grande legado, e nós, da equipe do Saúde e Alegria, agradecemos todas as mensagens de apoio e vamos continuar aqui seguindo esse sonho e esse legado de inclusão digital, de redes comunitárias que seu Paulo Lima deixou para a gente essa missão para continuar. Muito obrigada.
Obrigada, Sabrina. A gente manda um abraço grande para vocês e com certeza ele deixa um legado único, deixa muita saudade também e vai estar sempre presente com a gente.
Nós gostaríamos também muito de enfatizar que essa luta, esse legado que Paulo Lima nos deixa aqui, não é por acaso. E eu sei que ele vai, onde ele estiver, ele vai estar nos apoiando e nos incentivando através das suas vivências, das experiências que podemos ter. A gente teve com ele e a gente vai continuar esse trabalho tão lindo que é conectar os povos amazônicos. Então, é isso que a gente gostaria de fazer e vai fazer. E eu espero que, assim, me agradeço por todo o carinho, por toda a atenção que todos vocês estão tendo com a gente. E a Paulo, muito obrigada.
Obrigada, Adriane. Sinta-se também abraçada pela gente. Eu vou compartilhar aqui no chat uma pequena homenagem que a PC fez para o pessoal que fala inglês. Tenho certeza que todo mundo que fala português está sentindo essa perda também, mas também está dividindo esse compromisso de carregar o legado do Paulo e de estar perto de vocês, do PSA, mandando um grande abraço.